Hey there, friends. You ever wondered how hard it would be to have a non-multiple choice question where there's more than one correct answer and that it's coming from a paired passage? And they're asking how something in this passage is similar to something in this passage, or asking how they're different, how they don't connect, how the laces don't tie together in the question. Well, I'm going to show you a couple of things that will help you with the fourth grade most difficult reading question, where it'll hopefully make a difference in terms of how we do next year. Let's hope that that's the case. Make sure I'm sharing my camera. There we go. All right. So, like I said, number one, this is all the non-multiple choice options. Above the red line from my advanced writing folder is for reading and writing. These are some of the ones that you're going to have to do for social studies, math, science, and well, whenever it has, one or two non-multiple choice. So it was a multi-select, more than one correct answer to the question. In the case of this problem, this question, there were 5 choices. All right. So let me show you the question. It was number 17 in the fourth grade test. And this is how I think the point system works. 23% were able to figure out the first one, letter B. 56% were able to figure out the second one, letter D, but only 21% were able to get both B and D correct. So I'll ask you the question first, and then I'm going to show you something that I gave all the teachers that I worked with these last couple of years in their little mini binders. And it's also as a digital file for all of you who signed up for the different types of online and in-person trainings. Here's the question. You can tell because it has a question mark. How is the idea of traveling in the selection Riding Out West different from the poem? So something important to remember, since the idea that they're talking about is traveling in one passage, what they're asking is how is traveling, its description in this passage, different from the idea of traveling in the poem called Going Home. Okay. Riding Out West, that's a lot of places. Going home, that's one place. Keep that in mind. Okay. So it does say select the 2 correct answers, and there were 5 choices. So that is several reasons why this question was so hard. So here's what I invented to help with questions like this. And for those of you who attended any training in the last 2 years, you do have this in your mini binder that I sent to you, or it's as a PDF file. All right, so I call it forensic finger and footprints from paired passages. Suspect number 1. The name of the first passage is called Riding Out West. Suspect number 2. The name of the second selection is that poem called Going Home. What was the question? What was the topic? Well, how is the idea, your little light bulb, of traveling and riding out west different from going home? So I used fingerprints to kind of break down the paragraphs or the stanzas or the scenes or the sections that you decide to use in the first section, and I use footprints. So basically, you're looking for clues or evidence, evidence from the text. But the problem is we need evidence that shows that they're different. The idea of traveling. And in the case of both passages, they just happen to be traveling on the train. So the next thing your students have to do with my little graphic organizer is decide, are we doing the compare, similar, like, same, green, or are we doing the contrast, unlike, red, different? And we were doing different, okay? Because we're at the beginning of the year, many of your students don't have the endurance for an entire selection or two entire selections in this case. So what I suggest that you do is break your class into groups and have each group only look for some important keywords or main ideas from one paragraph only or one stanza only, and that's their group's responsibility. Okay, so look what we have here. I do have some highlights. There's the Writing Out West passage, and I looked for things that kind of talked about traveling. And of course, because they were both about trains, even though the question didn't mention trains, uh, it was traveling by train. And then here I have a copy of the poem. All right. So here's what I did for you guys. I noticed in paragraph 1, it said that the trains gave access to places that were difficult to reach. That's interesting. Well, it didn't focus on that. It was just you're going to find out uh, in the second passage, the poem, it's just a personal experience about a guy going somewhere. Personal, and the person was I, me, or we. First person. Second person, you. Third person, them. People that are not in here. And it was in present tense. Okay? So, paragraph 2 said El Paso, it's a place to visit, not an action, but you can go to places. Okay? Again, places that you can visit. Visit places. That it was giving you access to those different places. Paragraph 3, travel in El Paso. There were rough roads and animals would pull the wagons and they would get kind of tired. All right. So the trains made that easier for them. Paragraph 4, there ended up being 10 times as many people. So you got to see lots of people by going by train as time passed along. And that's going to be connected to letter B. And it says that it was bumpy to smooth because of moving from going on wagons to traveling by train, and that the train ended up somehow being cheaper. I guess more people are willing to go someplace if that ride is smooth. Okay. Then I looked at the other one. I said, okay, well, in line 25, traveling by train, the only thing I saw was as if they too were going home. Not to lots of places, not to El Paso or any place, are just going to one place. This story about a guy who wrote a story, personal experience about going to one place. So when you look at the answers based on our clues and evidence from the text, here's what the choices are. The selection, and they're asking about the first one. It describes traveling long distances, while the poem shorter describes shorter trips, such as going home. It never said anything about a shorter trip, about the length of the trip. So something that would recommend that you have your kids do, if that's their stanza, have them make sure they cross off the part that's not true. And sort of what I did here was I did a T for a transition, while everything in front of the word while is for the first selection, the one that they're asking about, and the one, everything after the T for transition, the teeter totter, is about the other thing. So let's look at B. The selection covers many reasons to travel. Okay, well, what were those reasons? Apparently, you get to meet lots of people. There's a B. Um, gives you access to places that are difficult to reach. You know, and again, it's the traveling. I think it would have made it easier if they would have used the word traveling by train, because this passage also mentions traveling by covered wagon down here. And that probably hurt some of your students, and why letter B was maybe not chosen by quite a few students. I don't know what else did we see here. Uh, there are lots of places to stop on trade routes, so it helped people to make sales or buy things or sell things or whatever along the way. So that's the many reasons to travel. That makes sense. And the poem covers one goal, going home. And that was mentioned on the very last line, what I'm going to call the shoe of the poem. How smoothly the trains run beyond, blah, 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 as if they too were going home. And there's your biggest clue right there. The guy just wants to get home from wherever he's at. You just don't know how far he's having to go. That one would work. Okay. Apparently, because that was so obvious, 56% of the kids, um, I'm sorry, 56% of the kids were able to get D, which was an easier one. So let's find out why. Let's find out, eliminate C. The selection talks about old ways of traveling. No, it focuses on the new ways. So we would eliminate the details that are not true. Well, the point Fox talks about finding new ways of traveling. No, it's just talking a story about me writing home. So hopefully the least amount of kids chose that. The one that they did best on was letter D. 56% at least were able to figure out D. What was so easy about it? The selection shows a broad picture of travel by train. Yes, broad picture, all the different ways they get there, things that they do there, while the person in the train is is a personal travel experience. And so, like I said, D, if you will teach your kids this, personal person, AL, actually lives in present tense, or actually lived. So lives present tense, or is it past tense? So because of the words I, me, or possibly we in the form, that kind of is the clue. This is the personal experience. And so that one probably made it a little bit better for the kids to find D. And the hard one was that they got both. So one of these other three must have been a big distraction. Let's look at the last one. The selection tells about traveling over rivers. Okay. If you look through there, not much about over rivers. All it mentions is the Rio Grande River, that it's next to it. It doesn't say anything about traveling over it. There wasn't a focus on that. So we really can't say that that was true. The poem tells about traveling through open land. Well, when you look at it, you can see as you read through here, there's nothing about open land. In fact, the very first stanza, sharp curves winding left behind, the road wide open. So it's all over the place in that one. So that's how I would probably teach you. Have your kids get into groups and be assigned one fingerprint or one footprint. And that way they can come together and decide which one of theirs is true, which ones are false, which one are we going to select? Because in this case, we have to select two. Ah, 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 select two. And we have to eliminate three that don't work. So that is how I would have solved or worked on something like that. And so it would be sort of like a T-chart, except with the idea that at the beginning of the year when school is boring, you try to excite the kids by making them think they're looking for clues or looking for evidence. And so break out them their magnifying glasses and let the kids find important details that do respond or correlate to the questions that are being asked. God bless you. Our next video will be fourth grade editing, fourth grade revising, and if I have a short constructed, I will show you that one too, as long as it's scored 50% or less. That's why I want to show you guys that unlike many programs, consultants, and curriculums, I'm going to show you how to do the most difficult problems. Because I feel like I got skills and they're multiplying. God bless you guys. Please share the video. Look forward to working with several of you who have already emailed or messaged me about signing up. I'll make sure I post my website today where you can sign up for that and have a chance to be able to get some one-on-one time with me about the area or areas that you need most. We do take them in the order that people sign up in terms of certain dates or times. That just seems fair. I do trainings at a campus or a district, and I'm trying to come down low enough where I'm in the budget area where you're not having to go through so much trouble with board approval, or maybe you can have just a fundraiser and have me come in and work with your teachers, or like not very many consultants do anymore, with your students while you observe. Okay, so if you're watching this and you're interested in one of those options, message me or email me at writing_doctor@yahoo.com, and I'll make sure to help you out and get you set up.